Hello and welcome to What Makes America Tick. I'm your host, Congressman Troy Carter, and I proudly represent the best place in the country, Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. Join me as we dive into an engaging conversation to answer the question, what makes America tick? Our guest today is world-renowned actor, creative, and my good friend, Wendell Pierce, one of the most prolific and respected actors of our generation. Wendell lives up to his title, journeyman actor, with standout roles in The Wire, Treme, to films like Thunderbolt and Superman, to being the first black actor to play Willie Loman on Broadway, and Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Recently, he completed his annual trifecta, a challenge he set for himself to star in theater production, TV series, and film annually. Whatever the part, he brings a deep sense of humanity and an undeniable love of storytelling to his portrayal of characters. I'm so proud, he's so proud, we're so proud to call him a New Orleans native son. He pays homage to his Louisiana roots through his artistic performances, staunch advocacy for equality, justice, environmental fairness. Wendell's journey in the arts began in the historic black neighborhood of Pontchartrain Park. Once destroyed by Hurricane Katrina, this vibrant community has painstakingly rebuilt over the last 20 years with his energy, with his commitment, and now on the National Register of Historic Places. This didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen just because. It happened because the people of Louisiana, the people of New Orleans, and this great international talent would never let it be. Wendell's dynamic range, expert use of language, and a constant push for self-improvement make him one of the most versatile actors of our generation. We're honored to have him with us here today. Please welcome to the show, my dear friend, an outstanding artist, a native son, Wendell Pierce.
Congressman, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Brother, it is such an honor to have you here today. I cannot tell you how humbled we are that you took the time out of your busy schedule to come and share this moment, not just with me, but to the world, as you do every day, whether it's on the silver screen or on the stage. You're knocking it out the park, brother.
I appreciate that. First of all, I want to thank you because you are my congressman. You are my friend. I have always admired you. I've admired the work that you've done. You have been a North Star for me when it comes to advocacy and working for the people and everything. And I'm honored to be here in the halls of Congress here with you, talking about all the work that you do as well.
Now, you obviously are an incredible actor, but you're also an incredible activist. You have not been shy. I've seen you on national publications. I've heard you on NPR. I've seen you talk truth to power in some situations that many would be afraid to talk about. You've not shied away about racism in America. You've not shied away about the atrocities that we see happening in our community. What makes you different? What gives you that comfort to step out of the zone and leave a safe place to talk about those things that are so desperately needed to be spoken of, particularly someone at your level?
I'm always surprised by people's reactions because I feel as though that's what being an artist is all about. It's the place where we collectively think about who we are, challenge ourselves, try to uplift ourselves, declare what our values are, and then try to go out and act on those values. Entertainment is a byproduct of art. You know, the art is to the community what the individual thoughts are to us at night when we toss and turn and think about who we are as a person. It is in the form of art that we reflect collectively as a society and say, you know, what's important to us? What kind of values do we have? So, and then there's a long legacy of men and women who I admire wholeheartedly. I think of Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, who were very much a part of the civil rights movement, Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier, who literally flew a chartered plane down to Philadelphia, Mississippi to give money in Freedom Summer when they were registering, and were literally saved by SNCC volunteers on the same road where Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner were murdered. So there's a long legacy from a Moses generation who handed the baton to my generation to always be active and participate as an advocate to, form a more perfect union.
Do you ever get any pushback?
Oh, yeah.
Any pushback back when the cameras are off? Like, hey, man, Wendell, be careful. You may be pushing the envelope a little bit. We don't want to offend, da-da-da-da-da.
I've gotten a call. Well, we want you to know you can say whatever you want, but, the bosses have seen it and all. And I said, and I just think about my grandfather and my great uncles who, in Assumption Parish, Louisiana. My pa Johnny was almost lynched. He was left for dead and was rescued by my grandfather. And in 1929, they sued the men who attempted to lynch him. And that's an act of bravery in itself, from that, we got our homestead from that act, right? Sue them, won out of court. It was dismissed, and they obviously got it, the money to buy our homestead, which is still to this day in our family. So those are acts of great courage. So when I get the call and I get the pushback, I think of them. Courage is acting not in the absence of fear, but in the face of fear. That's what true courage is. And so I may be fearful. I may know that I risk employment. I may risk burning bridges or leaving that safe place, but I have to act. There's too many blueprints of men and women who have shown great courage, and that's an American aesthetic that I embrace wholeheartedly.
To whom much is given,
much is expected.
much is required, brother, and you're doing that. And I will say for those who won't have the opportunity to say this to your face, thank you.
Thank you.
It has not gone unnoticed, and it's greatly appreciated because we find far too many of our leaders, and regardless of the field of endeavor, that find themselves in a comfortable place, and they stay there.
Right.
And it's I've got mine, you get yours kind of mentality, instead of recognizing that when you are blessed to be at a certain place where your voice resonates far beyond the halls of the beauty of your art, but into the social fabric of our country, where we need people like you to speak up. So for all those who may not have said it, who want to say it, but they just don't see you, thank you, brother. So you're from the great city of New Orleans, as I am so proud of our lineage. What is it like to represent the city of New Orleans when you travel literally all over the world, and people know the great Wendell Pierce, they know Bunk, they know all these great characters. They also know that you're from New Orleans, man. And New Orleans is special, from gumbo to jambalaya to the Mardi Gras Indians to our rich culture at Congo Square. What's that like?
It's great. It lets you know how important our culture has been. I actually believe New Orleans culture is emblematic of American culture. I mean, it is the best example of what America is about. You take jazz, for instance, you have to honor the form of the song, but your improvisation and your solo is free. Be as free as you can be, as inventive and creative as you can be as much of an individual you can be. And that is literally what we are as a nation. We celebrate the individual, we go as far as you can, but we're a nation of laws. You have your guardrails, but within that, find the freedom within that. And that's what New Orleans is. And people around the world recognize that. We can be technically proficient and at the same time just expressively uninhibited. That's what jazz is about. That's how we cook our cuisine. We have recipes, but then it's what you put into the cuisine, right? Nobody's gumbo is the same. I tell people,
listen, man, I can give you my recipe for gumbo.
Right.
Don't mean you're gonna be able to make the gumbo. I can also give you keys to a plane. Don't mean you can fly it.
That's right, right, and that's what New Orleans is about. And so you have the music, you have cuisine, and all. And so around the world, I lived for about a year and a half in Budapest, and the Budapest Jazz Club, man, they would see me come in and they were like, "There's the cat from New Orleans." So the guys are like, "Are we playing the music correctly? Are we swinging like we're supposed to be swinging?" Because they felt as though I had some sort of expertise, even though I'm not a musician, but I was from New Orleans. And that's the thing that I love about our city. Our city is emblematic of that and understands that culture is the intersection of people and how they engage with life itself. and that is the American aesthetic, right? It is the American aesthetic on display. We talk about those enslaved Africans in Congo Square who found their creative freedom before they found their physical freedom, right? But it engaged them so much so that they understood that we will continue to fight for our rights and who we are, and combine that with the amalgam of Haitians who came in to Treme. And it was the beginning of the civil rights movement, really, right there, along with the creation of jazz. And jazz and the civil rights movement came from the heart of New Orleans, and that's what I'm so proud of New Orleans culture for.
Yeah, and you get to live that out every day.
Mm-hmm.
When you go places and people know. I know when I travel, they say you're from New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to really dive into it. It's always very powerful and humbling, even.
Yes.
To have been blessed to make my way to the nation's capital as a member of Congress. I always say from the cutoff
Mm-hmm.
to the Congress.
Shut off to the Congress.
You
There
know,
you go.
and that's with great pride and humility. And I know from Pontchartrain Park
Mm-hmm.
to the moon and back
Yes,
is literally
indeed.
your mantra and the things that you've been able to do. Let's pivot just a little bit if we can. Because, and I'll go back and forth about your artistry, your activism,
Mm-hmm.
because they both are integral parts of who you are.
Absolutely.
And you don't shy away from either at any time. As I've mentioned, how many times I've seen and watched with great pride the way you take on the difficult subject matters of
Mm-hmm.
issues of today, racism and lack of opportunity and police brutality and all the
Yes.
things that happen in our community. And you do it with such an artful, respectful, but powerful and direct approach.
Mm-hmm.
You took that same energy 20 years ago when our communities were ravaged by Hurricane Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw your community, a community of Pontchartrain Park. For those who don't know, Pontchartrain Park is a rich African-American community, rich in culture, humble in its beginnings, homeowners, when nobody else was. It was the quintessential upper-class African-American community in New Orleans, where people were school teachers, they were postmen, they worked everyday jobs, but they had the level of pride as if they were in Beverly Hills. They owned their own properties. They raised their kids to go on to become great people. This community was ravaged after Hurricane Katrina literally nearly wiped it away.
Yeah, we were in some of the deepest part of the flooding because what happened with Hurricane Katrina, the canals that, keep the balance of the water through the city between the lake and the river, those canals that go through the city like valves in the heart, those were the ones that really broke. And so we filled up like a bathtub. We're right on the other side of the neighborhood was absolutely dry, where we had 20 feet of water. And Pontchartrain Park was started, when they had all the segregation and prohibition and covenants, where after World War II, expansion of post-World War II suburbia, we were excluded from. And because of the advocacy of my parents and their generation and A.P. Turo, we fought for that access to that new suburbia of the 1950s. And because of that advocacy, Pontchartrain Park was born, right? Actually out of an appeasement, sort of separate but equal. But we took something ugly, like separate but equal, and made a community, which I called like a Black Mayberry. It was easy to
that's right.
grow up in. And we created something great. And it was an incubator of great talent, great political talent, artistic talent, medical talent, legalese. We had laborers. Mr. Wagner was the glass man. Mr. Greenup was the Mr. Greenwood was the dry cleaner, so it was economic
And great leaders
development.
to have come out of that,
And great
that
leaders.
very community,
Yeah,
even to this day.
Yes, Mark Morial and his father, Dutch Morial, lived
First
in the
black mayor.
First black mayor, and now
Second, the junior of the first black mayor.
right, who is now over the National Urban League. And so when it was destroyed, I felt we had a great responsibility. I call it, that was the Moses generation that created our neighborhood. And we had a responsibility as the Joshua generation to bring it back. So I put out a call to action and said, we owe it to our parents to make sure that this neighborhood comes back. So we rebuilt it brick by brick, house by house, block by block, rebuilt 40 homes, took advantage of the community development legislation that was passed here in the 90s. And we knew we had a stable community, and we were able to bring it back with the help of financial partners and just the will of the people.
Yeah. And there's a beautiful golf course in the middle of that, the Joseph Bartholomew Golf Course.
Yes, Joseph.
Tell a little bit about that, the history, because this is a great African-American golfer with a great golf course that's been restored, renovated right in the middle of Pontchartrain Park. Golfers come from all over, black, white, and other, to play on this great course.
Joseph Bartholomew was one of the great architectural, landscape architectural designers in New Orleans. He designed most of the courses, and because he was African-American, couldn't play on them. That's how ugly segregation was, and how ignorant it is and was. And he designed this course in the heart of Pontchartrain Park. Is, there's 200 acres. Heart of the neighborhood is this beautiful golf course. I played on that golf course every day. Unfortunately, I played football and tag and everything else, and so my golf game suffers today because of that.
Sounds like mine.
Yeah, and but he was a hero, and he actually played a match while he couldn't play on his own golf courses in New Orleans. He played a match, I think in the early 20s, against the U.S. Open champion at the time, a secret match, and he won. Yeah, so Joseph Bartholomew is a great hero. His golf course is the heart and the anchor of Pontchartrain Park. And so we have multi-denominational churches. We've rebuilt all the homes. We still have some lots to refill. And we have HBCU there, Southern University at New Orleans. So it's a real idyllic neighborhood. And I said I couldn't rebuild it and not come back home, So while I travel the world, that is home base, Yeah.
And you've invested home. More than just the significance of rebuilding the neighborhood. And as much as it would make perfect sense that you rebuilt it because of the personal history for you and your family, it was far bigger than just you and your family, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's about this iconic African-American neighborhood and what it says to communities all over the country about the necessity and responsibility to restore, maintain, and pay homage to these communities.
And also how important it is to build generational wealth. I mean, it was the first chance for people to have home ownership in my parents' generation. And so when I returned, I wanted to make sure that we had that same sort of access for people now. And one of the things I'm proudest of, so many people who bought those homes, of the 40 that we had, it was their first time. It was their first time. And there's one woman in particular, I'd see her all the time. She said, Wendell, I thought I would leave this earth never owning anything. And here I am, 60 years old. I'm finally getting a home. Right? I have a home that I can pass on to my kids and all of that. And I said, and that's very important. We also realized that I told people when we first started, I said, how many people are renting in the neighborhood? How many people are coming back home after Katrina? People raised their hands at one of our initial meetings. I said, how many renters? They raised their hands. And I said, I don't want you. And I just got their attention with that. I said, I only said that because I wanted to get your attention, and secondly, I want you to know that you can become a homeowner. And we put them on the road to home ownership, and that's what I'm proud of. Because I feel as though, especially in the 21st century, the 21st century social justice movement is economic development, right? You have done a great job at making sure that the blueprint of political activism and advocacy is on track. We learned that in the 20th century and in the 19th century. We understand and know that has to continue, and we have to be vigilant about it, as we've seen with the Supreme Court recent ruling in the Calais case in Louisiana. We have to be vigilant about our rights politically. But in the 21st century, building that economic development in our communities so they're sustained that way too. And that's the double V campaign of the 21st century, right? During World War II, the black community victory was broad, victory at home to fight segregation and Jim Crow here. Well, victory now is the double V campaign, I call it. Vigilance now to make sure we protect our rights that are being taken away. And then the other victory is economic development. That's our double V campaign right now, to make sure that we build the wealth within our communities. as we fight those who don't have our best interests at heart.
And let's talk about that. I was getting ready to talk about that, then I pivoted into the significance of the bigger picture of Pontchartrain Park, of what you've done, not just for your family, not just for the immediate families, but for generations and generations to come. Let's talk about economic development and the investments that you make that are multiple. Well, let's start with the venue that you create with WBOK.
Yes.
An African American owned and operated radio station in the city of New Orleans that has the ability to provide unfettered access to facts, not commentary, not whitewashed, not filtered through somebody else's lens, but coming from a community that is for and of the community. You and Troy Henry and your partners, you purchased this radio station, and you have made it a point to keep it local, but national and international in flavor, to talk about issues and to have call-in shows. I do a show every Thursday with you guys talking about what's happening here in the nation's capital. And even this podcast is aired singularly on WBOK. You can hear it on wherever you get your podcast, Spotify or Apple, but you can also hear it live and re-recorded on WBOK, a station that is owned, operated, and invested in. And listen, radio business is not always necessarily a big money business. It's hard work,
it's
but
hard
you
work.
do it as a labor of love. Tell us
Absolutely.
about your rationale reasoning for wanting to create that voice for African Americans particularly, but for anyone who wants to have fair, unfettered access to the real news and not fake news.
Yeah, WBOK1230.com. You can get it anywhere. When you're in New Orleans, we're 12:30 a.m., but we've also expanded now. We have 770 a.m. And 107.1 on the FM dial. So we have 3 stations now. So make sure that people have the platform so that they can be heard, to give voice to the voiceless. We bought this station because WBOK came out of a 70-year history where, back in the day you could hear there's a fish fry on Friday and Dr. King is going to be here on Sunday, right, preaching at Dillard or something. So we understood how important it was that everyday people in the community had unfettered access to information, a platform where they can have issues, engage a congressman like yourself. We thank you for being a part of our station on a regular basis, and understand that is something that is really important, because not every day do people have access to unfettered information that is not a part of some propaganda, that actually have an opportunity to call in themselves and give voice to some of the issues that they have, and also making sure that the news of the day is there. We also have international and national shows. We have the Tavis Smiley show on, so we're connected to the West Coast, and his coast is syndicated in 50 cities around the country. Entertainment shows like the Ricky Smiley show, and then our local shows, like the Front Porch, which is a cultural show, but the Good Morning Show and your segment every Thursday is very important to the community, because they get to understand what the work you're doing here on Capitol Hill, how it affects their lives personally and directly there. I know as we tape this right now, you just came back from New Orleans, so it's you go between the community and Capitol Hill the way some people go from the kitchen to the living room. You're back and forth all the time. You're never out of touch with your district, our district, the great 2nd District of Louisiana. And so that's what WBOK wants to be, a platform the same way that you have unfettered connection with your constituents. We want that same unfettered connection with the community, so they have a voice and give a voice to the voiceless. BOK has been doing that for 70 years, and when it was on the market to be sold, we wanted to make sure we continued that legacy.
You did that.
Yeah.
So, of course, this month is Black History Month. Tell us about your performance as the trombonist Antoine Baptiste
Yes.
in the TV series Treme, that
Yeah.
so many of us loved and hate that it's not, that it didn't continue. We wanted to go on forever because it was unlike many of the TV shows that we see that depict us as, having these deep Southern drawls.
Yeah,
and
right,
that
right.
We eat gumbo every morning, and that
Right.
we go to work in a P-row.
Right.
This
all
was
of
an
these,
opportunity to really show a true depiction of what New Orleans and Treme looked like, and you led that effort, which really gave it gave it the credibility
Yes.
of someone who's on the set and not. I'm sure there were many times you said, "No, man, we don't talk like that. No, you're gonna have to rewrite this."
We took great care to make sure that it was authentic. So this is Black Music History Month, and Antoine Baptiste was this amalgam of all these musicians that I knew, and love in New Orleans. I think of, I was a little Big Sam and Stafford Agee with Rebirth Brass Band, and there was a guy named Wolf who played the bust in the streets with Doreen Ketchens, who is one of the baddest clarinetists in the world. You can catch her on Royal Street almost every day. She is one of the greatest musicians in the world. I say that without any hesitation, one of the best. And I knew that when we were doing this show on HBO, Treme, that I would not be able to come home ever again if it was inauthentic. So we had to make sure that it was right. And also, we wanted to make a cultural document that years from now, people will be able to pull off the shelf and say, this is what people were going through post-Katrina, how they rebuilt their lives, how they rebuilt the city, how they did it with culture, and how important culture was to it. So I was very proud of the work that we did in Treme. And even though it could have lasted a long time, a lot longer, I know now that years from now, when kids ask the question, Mr. Pierce, what did you do in New Orleans' darkest hour? I can show them the houses in Pontchartrain Park, but more importantly, I could pull that tape of Treme off the shelf and say, this is what everybody was doing and thinking about, and how they were feeling and what they were doing with their culture.
Yeah, that's one of the things that make you so unique. It's not just about you. You always find a way to weave it back into the people in the community, and that's why we love you. Speaking of segueing into love, both of our mothers were lifelong teachers. My mother spent 40 years in the classroom, and I say sadly, she spent 40 years in the classroom and probably barely made it above $40,000 a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
My mother was like yours, the quintessential teacher that took every student seriously and went in their pocket to build the board where all of the information was, or to
those Sunday
make
nights
sure
when
that,
they put together their student plan.
Yes.
Right.
Or to give a pair of scissors or a number 2 pencil to the kid who wasn't going to have it. Now listen, there were 6 of us, so there wasn't a lot of extra in my house.
Right.
But somehow my mother, who will be 93 this year, never forgot to give, as your mother. And we talk about the importance of the influence that these educator parents had in our lives. How do you think that influenced your philanthropic energy, for certain, but also how did it impact your artistry?
It is paramount. It is first and foremost. My mother being a teacher, I remember we learned early on that the greatest wealth will first come with knowledge. That is your greatest wealth, right? First, health, spirituality. I guess you could put those ahead. But there was, before you even got to any sort of financial wealth, your greatest wealth will be knowledge. And that once you acquire that, you will never be able to lose it. No one can ever take it away from it. And so she put a real premium on that. And that is first and foremost in my artistry too, because being an artist for me as an actor is a study of student behavior, of human behavior. It's a study of human behavior. So it's you approach everything as if you are a psychologist, almost. Why is this person thinking this way? What was the circumstances in their life and all? So it actually gave me the mechanics of how to be an actor and how to be an artist. It also gave me the mechanics of how to be an advocate, right? And that part of my life, because my mother was a proud member of UTNO, right? United Teachers of New Orleans, and one of the most powerful unions in the state of Louisiana.
And to this day stands with that same
Right.
level of commitment. My mother's a proud card-carrying member as well.
Yeah, and a threat to a lot of people. So much so that before they did anything else, I remember this distinctly. I was home for the flood, listening. The first thing they did was fired all the teachers in the floodwaters of Katrina. Well, the city's not going to be back. Before we're going to figure out a way to get people off the rooftops, right? They fired all the teachers. And so, because it was one of the most powerful unions in the state, and someone took advantage of a great crisis to take advantage of it in a
As
negative
another one,
impact.
dear friend of ours, Ed Compass, former police chief, often says, oftentimes when we're napping, they're mapping.
Right, right.
And while we were in great controversy and survival mode, there were others planning to create grand larceny.
Absolutely. I remember on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, Mr. O'Dwyer said, "This is the best thing that ever happened in New Orleans. We're going to get rid of the people we don't want." Well, I'll never forget that, Jack O'Dwyer. And so my mother's teaching and her 40-year career, and taught right there in Pontchartrain Park in Coghill. At Coghill, I was known most of my life as Mrs. Pierce's son. I didn't know I had a first name. Hey, that's Miss Pierce's son.
You know how many times I had to hear, Troy Carter, you should know better. Your mother works here.
Right, yeah. That's it. I was the same. So her impact on me and my father's impact on me is blazoned into the work that I do.
Fantastic. So you recently completed your annual trifecta with performances in Jack Ryan, Elizabeth, and right now you are starring in the title role in Othello at the Shakespeare Theater Company right here in Washington, D.C. Tell me about that experience. Not many people get that.
Yeah, no, it's
and to be first African American to achieve that goal, but more importantly, to have set that goal for yourself.
Well, no, there have been many actors who achieved the goal, but it's something that I set out for myself, just because you want to always challenge yourself, and go further and further and further. And as I'm in the third act of my career, I consider it, and right now that I want to challenge myself the most. And so it's always, and it's contingent on whether or not I can get the jobs, and get the interest of people. But you can actually create those opportunities for yourself. I found a young filmmaker in New Orleans, Jonathan Isaac Jackson, who we found each other during COVID, during the shutdown, and I said, I want to work with you. And I had a chance to. As soon as the restrictions were lifted, we got together and did a film that was just recently in the film festival in New York. And so I planned it out. Othello right now, I started talking about it when I met Simon Godwin, who is the new artistic director. He's 5 years. He's been here in D.C. and he's from England, and he wanted to develop relationships with American actors. And I told him that of the plays that I wanted to do, Othello is one of the great Shakespearean roles, and I wanted to do it. And he said, and we talked about it. We did a reading of it, and then I was able to do it. And to have that happen in the same year as Ghost War, where we shot that in London last year, London and Dubai, and then Elsbeth is on CBS right now, and I finished that. And as I completed it, I came into rehearsals here in D.C. for Othello. So it challenges me as an actor, as an artist. Make sure that all of the different things that I studied for, I get to do. You build a body of work. It's the same thing that you always try to do with all the work that you do. You want to have impact on all the different variables of life, right? Economic, health, sustainability, infrastructure, opportunity, economic opportunity, all of those different things that you do. Trying to do the trifecta of film and television and stage in my field that gives me the diversity that I want. And diversity is not a bad word. It's actually an encompassing word and a strengthening word. It's actually, it creates growth, right? And that is the American aesthetic that I like to embrace.
And we know that diversity, equity, and inclusion, neither one of those are bad words, which is a perfect way to talk about what's it like to be back on stage in the nation's capital, perfecting and sharing your artistic talent while in the midst, in the close proximity to the seat of power, and watch the unprecedented times that's happening in our country.
People come to see Othello, and they wonder why we still do Shakespeare 400 years after the fact, after it was written, because it's so prescient and so impactful even to this day. This play about corruption, propaganda, betrayal, war, racism, misogyny, you would think was written yesterday. All of those things we're dealing with right now. And it makes people realize and understand and hopefully see this is a cautionary tale. As self-destructive as this can be for these characters, it is that self-destructive in our lives as well. And so that's why I feel it's it's very important. It makes it very important that people see it, and it's very important for us to do it at this time and in this place. Samuel Beckett had it the best in Waiting for Godot. At this place, in this moment of time, all mankind is us. Let us do something while we have the chance before it's too late. And those are prophetic words right now, right? Let us do something right now while we have the chance before it's too late.
I often say to people, what will history say about you? What will it say when the question is asked, where were you and what did you do when they came to take our democracy away? You can say, my dear brother, without fear of contradiction, while not an elected official, while not someone in a policy-making position, you have not been shy about blending your task and using your platform. I consider it a blessing as a member of Congress to have this civil rights moment, to speak truth to power and to stand up and to use platforms like this to reach out to international wonders. And man, I can't tell you how honored we are to have you spending this time with us. You said in interviews that Othello is a role on your bucket list. Are there any other roles that are still out there that are on your bucket list that you need to check? We've seen you in Treme. We've seen you in the powerful Othello. We've seen you as a detective. We've seen you in any comedy in your repertoire?
Yeah. Well, Elsbeth is a comedy. It's like Columbo. So and Carrie Preston, who plays Elsbeth, and I play her captain, Captain Wagner. We're kind of like Lou Grant and Mary Tyler Moore. You know, she's a thorn on my side. And,
you aged us both with that one, brother.
Right. And so I hope everyone remembers that. Yeah. There's some comedy in there. Actually, I was talking about one of the things I was thinking about doing next is a version of The Front Page, which hasn't been done in a long time, and it's a comedy. But some of the other roles that actually is a kind of a combination of who we both are, is I am right now developing and trying to get produced a series on Harold Washington, the first black mayor of Chicago. I want to play him. Another role I want to do is Walter Lee in Raisin in the Sun, which is coming to the Shakespeare Theater, but it is already a production that's being done at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. So it's a combination. So I'll have to find another time to do it. Richard III is one of the Shakespeare roles that I want to do, and then I want to do an American classic from August Wilson, which may be doing in London soon. I may be doing a piano lesson there because they've never done it. I did it on Broadway. A little piece of trivia. Charles Dutton originated the role of Boy Willie on Broadway and piano lesson. And I took over the last 2 months before it closed, right? Unknown actor. And I was his understudy, and I just took it over for the last 2 months. And so now I'm going to revisit that. I'm older now, so I'm going to play another character. But I'm in talks right now to do that in London, in the West End, because August Wilson's piano lesson has never been done there. So.
That's great. Yeah. Real quickly, any male or female artist that you haven't worked with that you'd really like to announce today, right now, on What Makes America Tick, that you're calling them out, you want to start with them?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. This is somebody I've worked with before, but I want to go a little further, a little deeper. I want to work with Denzel Washington again.
Yeah.
Denzel and I had a small role in Highest to Lowest, but our preparation for just that one scene was a couple of days together. And it was some of the best work that I've ever done in preparation with another actor. And so I would like to work with him again. Yeah, and then as a director, Barry Jenkins, yeah, who did Moonlight. So yeah, those two.
Well, you know, there's some very clear distinctions and similarities, I should say, between you and Denzel. Not only your on screen, on stage, but your prolific energy and commitment to talking about social issues, and both are men of faith.
Yeah, I try.
Both
Always
are men
pray
of
for me.
faith.
Yes.
And that is so important for our young people, to see people like you who have, by every definition, made it and continue to make it and continue to be recognized as a world leader in so many different areas, but it's still relatable, still touchable, still loving and caring, and a person can walk up on Canal Street and dap you up like you're just Wendell.
Definitely.
That says a lot. Listen, man, I could do this all day with you.
I greatly appreciate
I could do this all day with you. There's so much to talk about, so much more I'd like to talk about, but the time is winding down. Thank you so very much. Listen, thanks to our listening audience. Thank you for coming and being with us today. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please share it with others. Post it and post about it on our social media platforms, or leave a rating or a review. You can listen to past and future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. But equally as important, if not more, WBOK, radio station where you can listen to, catch all of the latest from me, from my friends, and from our colleagues. And you can follow my official platforms at Rep. Troy Carter, and subscribe to my newsletter at troycarter.house.gov. Thanks again for being here. Thank you for listening. Tell everybody about this dynamic man, that you can listen to him for nearly an hour to talk about his life, his legend, and the incredible projects that he's working on. Laissez les bon temps rouler. Until next time.